Hi guys, I'm back with another video. The topic of the video is biology and human welfare. I am Shagun, and this video has been made on a particular request from my darling niece Tavishi, and this topic is from class 5th CBSE. Since I did not have the material regarding the topic, I have just summarized the points which could come in under this particular heading. So biology is a very wide array of data. It comes under that if you use the word biology, and we are particularly talking about biology in human welfare. So the first question that comes into your mind should be is what does it mean? I think these four points will summarize what can be included in it. That is, how does biology help in our daily day-to-day life? What does biology include? Correlation between applications of biology and human welfare. What can be included under this chapter? These four questions, before you start studying this chapter, you need to ask these four questions. Then only you will be able to get a better idea of what we will be studying in it. The following topics come under this chapter which we will be dealing about. The first one is animal husbandry. I'll be explaining these topics in details in the next part of the video. Breeding of animals, plant breeding, immunity and vaccines, disease resistant plants, microbes in household products, microbes in industrial products, microbes in sewage treatment, microbes as biocontrol agents, and microbes as biofertilizers. You can see a large part of it is being held hostage by the microbes. Microbes actually हमारे काफ़ी जगह में यूज़ होते हैं because they are the most abundant organisms present on this planet. अब आप कहीं पे भी देख लो, हवा में भी माइक्रोब्स हैं. What are microbes? Microbes is a short form for microorganisms, as we all know. These are present in your air, soil, water, skin. Every possible nook and cranny you will look for, you will find these microbes over there. The first part of biology in human welfare. I actually did not define this particular definition, but biology in human welfare means biology हमारी रोज़मर्रा की ज़िंदगी में कैसे काम आती है. हम लोग बायो पढ़ते तो हैं, all of us study different subjects in our class and schools, but do we actually correlate them with our day to day living? मतलब पढ़ के तो आ गए, औरंगजेब ने ये किया, औरंगजेब ने वो किया, but I still don't understand how that is useful to me. I mean, I don't need Aurangzeb right now in my life, and he can't be here also. So that's why I actually took science and I did not take arts. That's a very clear answer. But anyways, coming back to the point. So animal husbandry. So breeding and raising of livestock like cow, buffalo, goat, hen for their products is known as animal husbandry. So all these farms, kids go to holidays and other things, so you tend to end up in these farms. Or even हमारे पुराने दादा दादी, our grandparents used to have cows and goats and buffaloes at their places, and they used to take out milk and get eggs. They did not need to go to the supermarkets to get them. They used to get them at their own homes and at their own conveniences. So you also know that cow, buffalo, goat are capable of giving you a lot of products. One of them is the most commonly used one is milk. So you have milk, eggs, butter, meat, curd, etc., which is taken in from these kind of animals. Besides that, one other point that comes into my mind is breeding. When you say and use the word breeding in context of animal husbandry, you mean that I will not be going into much detail about it, but you can see there are like different varieties of any kind of animal, right? So you have cows which are very big in size and they are very beautiful, and then there are cows which are small, skinny, and they just are the ones who are stepping in front of our cars. So all of these particular varieties or species of animals have different traits. So if we have the capability of selecting the trait we want, we do that through the use of science. So by breeding your selected breeds, you get a better offspring which has a high yield and a high disease resistance. So I'll be explaining this cross breeding or the breeding of species to this diagram. As you can see, you have one breed in the red color and the other breed in the blue color. So the breed A or the cow A has produces a good milk quantity, मतलब दूध बहुत देती है but बहुत जल्दी बीमार हो जाती है. The other cow does not produce that much milk but has a high disease resistance. That means कि जल्दी बीमार नहीं होती है. When you have the capability of breeding these two types of different breeds, आप cow A और cow B को breed करने की कोशिश करते हैं, so you get a cow C जिसमें दोनों cows की अच्छी वाली abilities होंगी, मतलब कि वो दूध भी ज़्यादा देगी और उसकी बीमारी नहीं होने की क्षमता भी ज़्यादा होगी, मतलब it will remain more healthy and it will give you a high yield of milk. So that is what which can be, and how you keep thinking how this is related to your this topic. It comes because we are talking about milk and we get those kind of things from the cow. So this is an important aspect because these animals when reared are livelihood of a lot of people. Besides animal breeding, other techniques which are useful to humans are: number one is beekeeping. What products do we get from bees? You all know we get beeswax and we get honey from the bees. So the process of rearing of bees is known as apiculture. Fisheries are related with the breeding and selling of fish, shellfish or other aquatic animals. And the process of rearing of fish is known as pisciculture. All these animals, when they live in co-harmony with the humans, are capable of providing many food products which are used by the humans or by the animals themselves. We talked about how animals are important to humans and how their products are used by the humans. Now we will be talking about plants and how they can be useful for the human beings. So the first part of it comes the plant breeding. So the breeding of plant in order to create the desired species is known as plant breeding. Earlier, as I talked about animal husbandry, in which I talked about cross breeding, that means you pick the plants you want as parents and then you get the offspring which has both the best qualities of both the parents. जैसे हम कहते हैं कि मम्मा की हाइट अच्छी है, पापा का दिमाग अच्छा है, so the kid is tall and is brainy. So that's the same concept that applies to the plants and animals also. So the breeds produced as a result have qualities higher than the original parents. Following are the benefits of plant breeding. इससे क्या क्या फ़ायदा होता है अगर हम प्लांट ब्रीडिंग की टेक्निक अप्लाई करते हैं, इससे हमें क्या फ़ायदा होगा? पहला, इंक्रीज क्रॉप यील्ड. अब वो कैसे? अगर सपोज मैंने एक पौधा लिया जो कि बहुत सारा फ्रूट देता है, जिसमें बहुत सारा मतलब खेती होती है उसकी, सपोज आम का पेड़ है, एक आम का पेड़ बहुत सारे आम देता है, ठीक है, एंड बट उसकी ये प्रॉब्लम है कि उसको बहुत जल्दी कीड़ा लग जाता है. सो डू यू थिंक दैट आम का पेड़ इज ऑफ एनी यूज? I don't think so. Unless and until that plant can survive on its own without getting infected or diseased, then that plant is of no use. So अगर हम वो वाला प्लांट, आम का पौधा, किसी ऐसे अदर दूसरे आम के पेड़ के साथ हम उसको इंटरेक्ट करवा के उनका बीज या क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन करवाते हैं जिसमें ये क्षमता है कि उसको कीड़ा नहीं लगता, तो देयरफॉर हमारे पास तीसरी ऐसी वैरायटी निकलेगी जिसमें मतलब आम प्रोड्यूस करने की भी कैपेसिटी बहुत ज़्यादा होगी पर एट द सेम टाइम उसको कीड़ा भी नहीं लगेगा. Second point is improve quality. Obviously, when you are selecting two species, one of them which produces a high yield will also have a better quality. So, at the end of the plant breeding concept, you get plants with a higher yield and improved quality. Increase tolerance to environmental conditions. सम प्लांट्स जैसे कि सपोज एक पौधा है, रोज़ का एक पौधा है जो मेरे गार्डन में लगा है. आई हैव अ रोज प्लांट प्लांटेड इन माई गार्डन एंड इट प्रोड्यूसेस वेरी ब्यूटिफुल पिंक फ्लावर्स, बट the soil, if it does not have particular elements or minerals, the rose dries away very quickly. The flowering process, if in a natural plant, takes like 4 to 5 days. नॉर्मल पौधे में 4 से 5 दिन तक वो फूल खिला रहता है, पर मेरे घर में, मेरी ज़मीन में, क्योंकि कुछ चीज़ कमी है, तो वो पौधा शायद 3 या 4 दिन ही रहेगा और वो मुरझा के गिर जाता है. पर अगर मैं उसको किसी ऐसे पौधे के साथ मिलाती हूँ जो बहुत दिन तक, 10-12 दिन तक अपना फूल निकाल के रखता है, तो फिर क्या होगा, एंड रिजल्ट हमें ऐसा पौधा मिलेगा जिसके फूल भी बहुत सुंदर निकलेंगे और जो बहुत दिन तक खिला भी रहेगा. द लास्ट पॉइंट इज रेजिस्टेंस टू इंसेक्ट्स एंड पैथोजेंस. अब आप दो पौधे, एक ही चीज के दो पौधे लगाओगे, ठीक है. दो बहनें हैं, सीता एंड गीता. ओके, आई एम सॉरी, आई एम लेम फॉर द नेम्स. सो देयर आर 2 sisters, सीता एंड गीता. वन ऑफ देम गेट्स प्लांट ए ऑफ द सेम breed, and another one gets plant B of the same. Both of them keep the plants planted in their pots and all. After 2 or 3 weeks, one of the sisters sees that the plant is infected with a particular insect, but the other one, she calls her other sister and she asks like, okay fine, my plant is getting infected with this kind of particular insect, what about yours? And she is like, no, mine is fine and it doesn't have any problem. So if these two kind of plants were to be matched with each other or whatever, crossbreeded with each other, the final result would be a plant which will be resistant to insect and will also give a high yield of flowers or whatever it's supposed to do. Another way in which biology is useful to human beings is with the help of microbes. As I told you earlier, microbes are omnipresent. They are present everywhere around you, on you, at you, everywhere. Okay. Some of the microbes are harmful and which cause diseases, and the other ones are helpful. So we'll be talking about the microbes which help us in our household products. The topmost microbe, which is known as lactobacillus, this particular bacteria, this microbe is a bacteria which is found in the milk, and this bacteria is responsible for converting milk into curd. You can see these two things are totally different. जो दूध होता है, that is watery, the curd is thick and it has different state of matter. But the possibility of conversion from one state of matter into another is possible through this particular bacteria which is known as lactobacillus. Next, we have yeast, which is a type of fungus and it is responsible for the formation of bread and cakes. Weird to hear कि हम कीड़े मकोड़ों से बनी हुई चीज़ें खाते हैं, वो भी रोज़. But jokes apart, this yeast, it whenever you go into some kind of factory where you can see how bread is made, and often people make bread at their houses also. So this particular whitish color powder comes, which is tagged as yeast, and this is added to your main batter or dough, and this fungus produces carbon dioxide, which causes the dough to rise and become fluffy. So you have your cakes, if you do not have properly mixed the yeast with the cake, you will have a cake which is not fluffy and it is rough and settled down and broken at many parts. The rising of the cake happens because of this particular microorganism. Also, yeast is responsible for the formation of wine, which is an alcoholic beverage, and it is made from grapes. The particular process which is responsible for the formation of wine is known as fermentation, and I will not be going into detail on that particular topic. Microbes are also useful as in industrial products. Antibiotics, बहुत सुना है, आज मुझे बुखार हो गया है, चलो एंटीबायोटिक खा लेते हैं, आज मुझे ये हो गया है, चलो एंटीबायोटिक खा लेते हैं, डॉक्टर के पास जाएंगे, एंटीबायोटिक्स देगा. सो एंटीबायोटिक्स is a very commonly used word by the doctors and by us also. These antibiotics chemicals are actually produced by microbes or microorganisms. The microbes produce or secrete some kind of substances which have the capability to kill or retard the growth of other microbes. This is also a fact कि बीमारी होती भी माइक्रोब से है और उस बीमारी को ख़त्म भी माइक्रोब से ही किया जाता है. So your one microbe is the warrior and the other one is the enemy. So the warrior kills the enemy, in short. Penicillin, just for information, penicillin was the first antibiotic to be discovered, and most of the antibiotics are microbial in nature. The next role of microbes comes in sewage treatment. From the name only, I know you must be cranking your face up. So, your municipal wastewater is known as sewage. It consists mostly of human excreta. This waste, if it gets discharged into rivers, can cause diseases. So, in short, whenever we go into the washroom to relieve ourselves in the morning, the excreta or the human waste gets discharged via the toilet into different disposable areas. A lot of these disposable areas or tubes are interconnected and they lead into water bodies. We all know how the situation of Yamuna is in Delhi. Because of our irresponsible behavior, a lot of crap and garbage has ended up in the river, and if you cross that area, you really need to stick up pods in your noses because it is horrible. And it's so sorry to say that the humans are responsible for this kind of thing, and this thing can actually be managed in a very better way. The Ministry of Environment and Forest has started the Ganga Action Plan and Yamuna Action Plan to save these major rivers of our country from pollution. What happens is the excreta, the human excreta, also contains some microbes which are capable of decomposing that shit. Sorry, I'm using the word shit, but it is actually shit. Bacteria or fungus or any other kind of organism, mostly fungus, are capable of decomposing any biodegradable substance. So these things can be introduced in these sewages, and whatever thing can be salvaged is taken out, and the rest of it is broken into smaller components so that it does not cause pollution in the area. As we were earlier talking about sewage disposable or sewage treatment, another byproduct of sewage treatment is the production of biogas. We all know biogas is a mixture of gases which is dominated by methane and can be used as a fuel in houses. In a lot of villages earlier, before the LPG came into, the biogases was used to cook food. As you can see from the given diagram, all the waste from the animals and the humans in the form of excreta or urine is collected in a particular chamber. After it gets decomposed, after a certain period of time, this gas is released, which is connected through a pipe to the kitchen, and this gas is inflammable and can be used to cook food. This technique also help us in disposing the waste in a better and a proper way. Another use of biology in human welfare is your biological control of pests and diseases. These days agriculture is a very blooming field. हमारे जितने भी पेट भरते हैं सारे किसानों की वजह से भरते हैं. The farmers are responsible for all the food in our country. Say a big thanks to them, I guess. But besides the point, the agriculture industry uses lots of pesticides and weedicides to help maintain their crops throughout the year. But when you spray these pesticides and weedicides on them, apart from the insects that are targeted or the microbes that are targeted, the actual food also gets infected with them. And all of these are chemical in nature. The pesticides and weedicides are chemical in nature, and they end up affecting the food quality, and this food is eaten by the humans, and therefore these chemicals enter the human body also. But there is a better option of dealing with this kind of thing. We have a biological control of pests and diseases. A very familiar beetle you have seen, which is very common, the ladybird, which is like red and black markings, and dragonflies can be used to get rid of aphids, which is a kind of insect, and mosquitoes respectively. Each of them feeds on the other or damages the other in a certain way, and it is environmental friendly. All of them can live in their normal biological cycle without affecting the other animal or causing any chemical damage. As you can see, biological pest control uses predators to get rid of pests instead of using chemical pesticides. I'm highlighting on the word predator because I don't think you have an idea about what a predator is. Predators are animals which feed upon their prey or smaller animals to maintain their life cycle. So these particular animals will feed on other one, like as you can see in the diagram, the ladybird is capable of feeding on the aphid. So in a natural way, the food chain is also balanced without the use of any chemicals or pesticides. Few advantages of biological pest control are listed here. There is no damage to the environment because animals are naturally working their way out. Only targeted insects are eliminated. That is good because particular animal or creature will feed on a particular insect only. In case of our chemical sprays, the food also gets infected along with the other insects that are supposed to be dead. It is a very cheap technique and the outcomes are really very good. Thank you guys for watching the video. I think I have covered most of the topic that is required at this particular level. If you have any doubts or queries, you can please mention that in comments. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel Fun with Science. Any doubts can be asked in the comment section. And have a great day. Thank you.